everybody. How are you? I am Arefayne from Jimma University, and I hope you tolerate me because I am using commercial internet, and there might be noise and voice. So as much as possible, I try to one time. So our small grant research is the role of effective skill training on pedagogic skills of instructors at higher public education institutions in Ethiopia. And I am Arefayne. I am a research coordinator. Next slide, please. Okay, these are presentation outlines. I start from background and rationale, then end up acknowledging those who involved and help us in conducting this research. Next, please. Next, please. Okay. When we are talking about pedagogy, pedagogy is art and science of teaching. So it involves knowledge and skill, how to teach and how to involve students. So when instructors about pedagogy, they must deliver, they involve students in a way that they understand, they remember, and able to apply, especially for problem solving activities. And pedagogic skills means two important components. These are classroom management and content related skills. So classroom management is it involves different teaching methods, especially structural methods, lecture, or it would be all right. So to be effective in higher education institutions, instructors must have both classroom and the content related pedagogical skills. Next, please. Next slide, please. Hello, next slide, please. Okay. In reality, there are many barriers and challenges to apply proper and content student-centered or based pedagogical skills in higher education institutions, especially in developing countries. This might be due to lack of professional development, which is commonly common in developing countries, and this may hamper their appropriate pedagogical skill. Among the programs intend to boost pedagogical skills of instructors, effective teaching skill is training is common, and this effective teaching skill is primarily based on student-centered teaching approach. So this program is intended to equip instructors with necessary pedagogical skills to increase quality of education in higher education. And this training is given by JPIGO in 8 different higher education institutions and 11 colleges through through nutrition project. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. Staff at partner higher education institutions, as I said, 8 universities and 11 colleges benefit from the role of, the ETS training, which is provided by JPIGO. And this training has its own, this study has the following contribution. First is improvement of ETS training on pedagogic skill of instructors and to scale up ETS training program to different institutions. And identifying barriers is very important to design intervention. And the students' perception was assessed state. Overall, this shows overall insight towards instructors' application in higher education institutions. Next, please. Hello. Okay. These are the objectives of the study, and in this study, we covered the role of ETS training in both group of instructors. That means ETS training and who do not get ETS training. The second, the perception of higher education students about instructors' implementation of pedagogical skills. We identified barriers or major challenges to apply proper pedagogic skills for teaching and maximizing student. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay. When method and material section, I highlighted the most important points. We used comparative, quantitative, and also qualitative professional design was conducted, and the instructors and the students of 3 universities and the 3 CVT colleges are involved. ETS training trained group were 183 instructors who received ETS training, that's effective teaching skill, and the comparison group, 183 instructors who did not receive any pedagogic skill training, so that we can compare the effect of ETS. And standard courses were used, and we used different data collection method because of the data collection was during COVID-19 pandemic. So we used email, telephone, telegram, face-to-face interview, and also these all are based on the students and the instructors' preference. So qualitative study design, conduct in-depth interview to identify various of effective teaching skills, to determine sample size with double population proportion formula, to select 366 instructors, and single population proportion formula was used to get 422 students. And we use test, independent test with p-value of less than 0.05 at for statistical significance was set to assess the role of test training. And we use CPSS software for data analysis, and the qualitative data was analyzed on thematic. And concerning ethical clearance, we obtained ethical clearance from Jimma University with the RIF number, and we considered all preventive measures of COVID-19 since we conduct data during COVID-19 pandemic. Next, please. Next, okay. I highlight the main findings of this study. And when you see the role of effective teaching skill training or the instructor application of proper pedagogic skill, we summed the score. Then the instructors who or who trained ETS effective teaching skill are higher mean and with low mean and also higher maximum value in compared to comparison group, as you see in the slide. And in all components, pedagogic skill implementation of ETS trained group is higher than comparison group. So there is significant difference between ETS trained instructors and with comparison group in terms of pedagogic skill application at higher public institutions with p-value, as you see in the slide, 11.152, and p-value of less than 0.01. And this means ETS training significantly improved instructors' application of proper pedagogic skill that to maximize student learning. And we see the specific components of ETS, which the ETS we designed a questionnaire based on ETS manual. So ETS training manual, when we see specific components, for example, objective, setting objective, and the like, there is significant difference in both groups. That means ETS trained groups are highly likely to implement proper pedagogic skill compared to those instructors who do not train ETS. Next, please. Okay, there is observed difference. Might be this is due to the quality of effective teaching. It might be due to ETS training, and this result in the this is part of continuous development of profession or continuous professional development, and it increase the knowledge on the subject matter, and it contribute to instructional planning and deliver student assessment, and it help instructors to create a conducive learning environment. And there is also other static which support our finding. And when you see the university and the college instructors capacity and the quality primarily depend on pedagogic skill, which might be given as a continuous professional development. So its application in day-to-day activity depend on the instructors training, especially in terms of professional development. Thus, ETS training is crucial for proper pedagogic skill application to maximize student learning. Next, please. Okay. Evidence shows two significant effects of ETS training on effective teaching practice. First is it enables teachers to use different instruction methods which encourage and increase student learning. Second, training on effective teaching practice improves teachers' instructional planning, especially course planning and session planning for teaching, and which is supported by the evidence from previous studies. So it has training in numbers, instructors to use. The best teaching approach could be the mixing of different teaching methods so that the student learning is maximized. And so the best teaching approach currently in 21st century is student center and also educational planning and readiness or preparation for teaching. And this is highlighted by the previous statement. Next, please. Okay, thank you. Around 440 students are involved in this study, and these students agree that their instructors are about 12.6% of instructors apply pedagogic skills. So when we see different parameters, so we use around 10 parameters to assess student perception. So when we see these all parameters, only 12.6% of instructors agree. I mean, students agree in surface application. So this is evidenced by there are students and teachers have positive perception about visual aid and using visual aid during the teaching and learning process. However, as far as our knowledge, there is no study on students' perception about instructors or teachers' application of this study. So poor perception or low perception of students may be due to instructors' lack of application of pedagogic skill, so that we involved different instructors in this study. Some of them might not go to ETS training and the others might go. So this differentiation was not made. The other is students' expectation and the less experienced teaching methods. So that students' background is, or might be another reason for this finding. The other is selection of students or study participants, so that some students might not be exposed to instructors who got ETS training. So this might be some reasons for this the poor perception. The third is barriers or major challenges applying proper pedagogic skills. The first challenge. So many, I can say, those instructors, college teams, and also research coordinators, universities, they report that frequent curriculum revision, lack of harmonization, or course sequencing, especially related to curriculum challenge, which could hinder the application of proper pedagogic skill. Department head, he said, frequent curriculum revision is made in my institution. There is an addition or introduction of new courses before completing the other course, and sometimes curricular revision is made before completing one term. So based on the standard, the curriculum is revised every 5 months.
Can you hear me?
Okay, next please.
Can you hear me, Arefayne?
Yes, yes, yes.
So can you have a few minutes left? Can you just wrap up, because there is an issue. You don't have to go into detail, just summarize the results and your recommendations, please.
All right. Okay, the second is classroom related barrier, which is the classroom ventilation during summer season and the lack of smart room. Third is student number, the high number of students join university. So this is difficult to make a group discussion and working in this lab. Yeah, next please. Next slide, please. Okay. The fourth is the first slide. Hello. Okay. Resource barrier and the lack of teaching aid, and fifth is instructors' skill. Is the common barriers identified in our institution. So instructor-related barrier is many of instructors who join the college are from, especially from TVT college. They are engineers. So no pedagogic course was given at undergraduate stage. This could be considered as one of the challenges to apply proper pedagogic skill. Next, please. Next slide. Okay. So curricular challenges are one of the identified challenge in this study. And the higher education curriculum is more of content-based, and they never expose students to a real-world application. So, barriers related to resources are inadequate classroom and the lack of teaching aids are identified. In health science, insufficient or inappropriate designed physical space as a challenge was reported in previous study. Next, please. Okay. Large number of students join university. It's obvious that there is a large number of students to join our university, and there is lack of facility, especially demonstration room, skill lab, and also there is a shortage of adequate space for clinical mentoring. Yeah. So these are the contributing factors, and also teachers are also taught to be a sole provider of knowledge. This is also related to the background experience of students, which hinder the application of proper pedagogical skills. Next, please. Technology do not train, they are not trained pedagogical skill during their graduate and postgraduate studies. And due to lack of specific learning needs and the wide content, many instructors usually focus on finishing the course because of shortage, and also they have proper, they need skill, need or demand for time preparation, and also skill. And also the participants of IDI, they raised
Arefayne, you are breaking up. Hello? Hello, Arefayne.
Abdul, do you want to summarize some of the key findings so we can wrap up and move to the Q&A section?
College level, because of there is application of active research which may help to apply or to develop. Next,
Arefayne, can you summarize and
next, please.
Yeah.
Next slide, please. Hello.
We can hear you. Please continue.
Okay. All right. Okay. It is significantly improved instructors' application of pedagogic skill. We demonstrated in our study. Therefore, provision of training for instructors is recommended, especially during when new staff join universities or when universities employ new staff. And the students' perception was also in this case to be taken into account. So in this case, further research is recommended. Curriculum problem, large number of students and the lack of resource, especially teaching aid, classroom, LCD, and the instructors' lack of skill are most challenges. So we recommend JAPIGO continue support in improving the quality and sequencing of curriculum by working in collaborations or relevant stakeholders, including MOSHE, monitoring implementation of ETS, including classroom observation have paramount significance. Finally, we recommend MOSHE, that means Ministry of Science and Higher Education, and concerned bodies to address these challenges to maximize student learning, specifically and education quality in general. So, facilitators of ETS, which are reported by study participants, can serve as an input to tackle barriers of proper pedagogic skill. Next, please. Next. So, thank you. I acknowledge data collectors, study participants, and the university and college participants, administration, and department heads, faculty dean, and also others for their contribution.
Okay.
Hello.
Thank you, Arefayne.
Thank you so much for your attention and also tolerance. If you have any question and comment, you will welcome.
Okay. All right. Thank you, all the Arefayne and all the speakers. Yeah. So the way forward, we had shared a number of learnings from our project implementation, and we have also the project research and learning platforms. But now that our project is ending as of June, this project research and learning platform will be led by Save the Children, since GTN has another year left to go. So the project research and learning platforms will continue to share some of the new researches that are underway, including diffusion of NSA, the follow-up of most vulnerable households, and others that were conducted that are already underway, or the new studies that will be conducted next year through this platform. And also, of course, other important learning from other projects. The other one is one of our ways for sharing, for disseminating our research findings, obviously, and lesson learned are through project website, which has all project documents, study reports, published manuscripts, learning materials, success stories, BCC materials, videos, and webinars from our learnings. This will be handed over to Save the Children to add additional content to the website, as well as continue managing this website. So this will be a very good platform for disseminating key research findings and lesson learned from our project, other projects as well. So this would encourage the participants to go to this website and look at some of the contents which I think are very useful. And we have generated a lot of data through Engine and Growth Through Nutrition. We are planning to, now that most of the researchers have already done their PhD and published their papers, we are planning to avail the data from Engine and Growth Through Nutrition publicly for public use. And the online modules, which Dan has already covered, we had 11 modules, which will be handed over to Hawassa University. So Hawassa University will continue adding modules on it so that students will get an opportunity to take some of these courses moving forward. So these are our way forward plan. I hope you found yesterday's and today's sessions very useful and informative in terms of highlighting some of the key lessons learned and how they formed the different components of our projects. And hopefully also use some of the findings from today presented by Tufts University and small grant researchers to inform some of the nutrition programs, service programs. Thank you so much, everyone, for your active participation and for being with us until the end of our program. Now, the only remaining agenda is the closing remark, will be delivered by Eileen Kennedy, Principal Investigator of Tufts University, and Dan Abbott, Chief of Party for Nutrition Save Children. Thank you so much, and this is the final goodbye from me, everyone.
Thank you, Rahel. I'm pleased to be able to provide some concluding comments. First, let me say what an honor it has been to work with Save the Children Ethiopia on growth through nutrition for the past 5 years, and even before that on the Engine project for 5 years. So we've had from my point of view, from the Tufts point of view, a very productive 10-year collaboration. I also, we as a team have been privileged to work with our partners on the project GTN. I was recently asked how I would define a successful project. And I thought about this for a few minutes, and I came up with 3 areas. Number 1, impact. Number 2, what I call feasibility or practicality. Number 3, sustainability. And without going through the past day and a half discussion, it is very clear from the material and results presented that GTN has had impact, and it's impressive across the board. It has done so in a way that the approaches are feasible and practical, to be implemented in Ethiopia. And lastly, sustainability, which I think we sometimes forget to emphasize. GTN is leaving something behind. And just as an example, I'll use the last slide that Rahel presented on Hawassa University. We are handing over our online training modules to Hawassa, and they will multi-purpose it for many uses. I'm delighted that these modules are being used well beyond the intended purposes in GTN. The other issue I want to raise, and it came out of the discussion yesterday where partners were doing their summaries. There was one word that came up a number of times, which was complex. Yes, GTN is complex or was complex. And I think all of the areas we deal with in agriculture, food security, and nutrition are indeed complex. And it almost dictates that in order to address these issues, one must have a multidisciplinary team, a team of institutions with different perspectives, different objectives, in order to address this complexity. And I think GTN had that. What sometimes happens, though, is when you have organizations and institutions with different priorities and specialists with different skill sets, different priorities, sometimes you tend to get a little bit of competition. I sometimes refer to that as turf battles, TURF, turf battles. I suppose maybe that's natural, but I was pleasantly surprised in dealing with the partners across the range of GTN activities that we really didn't get this. There was much more of a cooperative, collaborative spirit of engagement. And I think this speaks to the caliber of individuals and partner organizations that were involved. And it's a credit to all of them. I'm trying to think of what next, but I don't have a specific. But I do hope for each of the organizations and individuals that have been involved in GTN, we Tufts have an opportunity to work with all of you together in the future. Again, it has been an honor and privilege. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dan Abbott.
Great. Thank you so much, Eileen. Those are really lovely concluding remarks. And a special thank you to you for getting up so early in the morning. Very nice of you to join us for this closing. Yeah, I mean, I think we've had a really productive day and a half. And this day and a half has reflected on a very productive, impactful, and full of learning nearly 5 years now. So I'd really like to thank the Tufts team for their leadership of the learning component of the project over the past 5 years, and for putting together the event this week. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a good mix of looking back at some of the studies we've done earlier in the project and highlighting some of the key findings and being able to discuss and reflect on how we've used those findings, which is really the intention of the operations research component of the project, to inform our implementation while also informing the broader nutrition community here in Ethiopia and further beyond. So it's been really a nice mix of presentations, discussion of pulling some of the key lessons and conclusions and adaptations. So I'd like to thank all the presenters as well and all of the participants. There's been quite a lively discussion in the chat box, you know, especially around some of the you know, particular presentations or themes within presentations. So it's been really great to have that engagement, and also points to areas as a team that we can continue to explore the data we have, our implementation experience a bit further, and continue to draw learning and conclusions and charting ways forward. As Eileen said, I think we're really pleased that a lot of, you know, the vast majority of the work that has been done on the project will continue to be available, be that through the project website with the engagement of shifting the learning courses over to Hawassa University. I think that's really a great initiative, and those are a really great asset that Tufts has developed and made available through Growth Through Nutrition. And as I said at the opening, you know, today marks the conclusion of this learning event with Tufts, but the project does have one more year of implementation where we'll have a little bit narrower focus over the next year, but sharing, documenting and sharing continued learning will certainly be on the agenda as we move forward. And I would also share Eileen's reflections on the team that we've been working together with on Growth Through Nutrition. It's been very collaborative, as have been reflected in all of the presentations. This is truly a multi-sectoral project. We went into details on a number of different technical areas, and I've been really proud of this team on integrating together, sharing the lessons, and coming up with solutions to really have that impact on the lives of mothers and children, and not just on specific project outputs. And we will continue with that spirit as we move forward. We will continue to engage with all of our partners that have been kind enough to give us so much of their time over the last day and a half, and to share their questions, thoughts, and experience as well. So with that, I will conclude and say thank you all so much. I wish you all a lovely day, and we'll see you next time. Take care.